Hey guys, Sen here. I am finally bringing to you guys my most highly requested video, which is covering all of the possible default one-shots in the clan capital. This video will be useful for everyone no matter what capital hall level you're at, and I recommend saving this to your watch later for whenever you run into default layouts in the clan capital. I've split this video into two parts. The first part is here where I will cover the first 4 districts: Barbarian Camp, Wizard Valley, Balloon Lagoon, and Builder's Workshop. And part 2, which I'm still working on, will have the last 4 districts: Dragon Cliffs, Golem Quarry, Skeleton Park, and the Goblin Mines. Many clans are too lazy to ever edit their layouts in the clan capital, and now you'll be able to take out their districts in a single attack. Thank you to everyone who has made this video possible. These runs were created from countless hours spent by many of the best players in the clan capital, and I alone would not have been able to create all of this myself. I also got a ton of help from the folks over on the competitive clan capital Discord server, which I will link in the description down below, so make sure you check that out. But everything I'm showing here is up to date with what the top clans use in their own raid weekends. This video has taken a ton of work. I had to learn and practice every single one of these runs so that I could show you guys a live demonstration of my screen as I do them. You too will also need to rebuild these default layouts in your own clans if you don't have them anymore, and practice them yourself if you actually want to be able to pull them off in the raid weekend. I've also included a few stats for each of these runs. The consistency covers how much RNG is inherent to each of these runs, even when they're performed correctly. The difficulty on a scale of 1 to 10 is how hard the run is to learn, and then the recommendation on a scale of 1 to 10 is how important the run is to learn and how much it would benefit your clan in the raid weekends. But with that all out of the way, let's dive straight into it. Starting off, we have the District Hall Level 2 Barbarian Camp at CH4. The District Hall Level 1 Barbarian Camp is actually impossible because you can't do that with level 1 troops. But now once you get the Wizard Valley, you get the heal spell, you get the jump spell to jump 6 giants up the left-hand side, it's now possible. And those giants are going to do a great job at beating through all those defenses one at a time. At lower levels, giants do a ton of damage. And so once they get in range of that heal spell, they'll get topped up as they beat through the defenses one at a time. But once they finish off the air defense, you'll drop down 2 passive archers, 1 on the spear thrower, 1 on the cannon, let them get 3 shots off, and then you'll drop down a ram before they lose stealth to open up the wall, and those barbs inside will tank the cannon and will tank the spear thrower, and those archers can finish off those defenses inside the compartment. And once the map gets opened up towards the right hand side, you'll drop down a barbarian to finish off the air bombs. You actually have a spare barbarian to finish off the other air bombs in case something goes wrong, but you'll drop down a barbarian up the bottom side to clear the trash buildings and open up the map for deployment. The extra barb is just in case the second air bombs does not go down and the barbarian takes a weird pathing, but in this case I don't need it, and we're just going to drop down our rocket balloon after the giants finish that middle air defense on top of the top air defense while everything is still distracted. So the giants beat through that air defense. We drop down a pack of minions on top of the giants, a rocket balloon on the top air defense, and then a rocket balloon on this bomb tower up the right hand side to take that out and sneak in and grab that spear thrower as well. At this point, it's just a matter of cleanup. I have a spare barbarian to help speed things up, but you don't need it. It does come a little bit close on time, but you should be fine regardless. And we'll just speed things up from here because balloons and minions at this level take forever to clean up all those buildings on the backside of the base. This is the CH6 District Hall Level 3 Barbarian Camp. We start off with a Barbarian down south to clear those trash buildings, a barrel up the middle spear thrower to take that thing out, and then once the Barbarian takes out that second clan house, we drop a barrel towards the spear thrower, a barrel towards the air defense, and then a minions up the far right to take out that cannon once the spear thrower is distracted. 5 zaps on the backside once we have some downtime to kill the spear thrower and kill the air defense. Then a barb on the far right to kill both those air bombs. Once again, a barrel up the middle to go after that spear thrower, and once the first barrel pops open, we drop down a giant in behind to beat through the wall and try to finish off those last few defenses. Then a barb down south to finish off those last 4 clan houses, open up the map for deployment, and then that giant is going to finish off the cannon and finish off the air defense, and those Larrys are going to split and try to get through all that HP on the district hall, and that will open up the map for deployment. The minions, hopefully some of them will survive and not peel too far left, and they'll have enough in them to kill a bunch of those giants. But once the district hall goes down, And once the air defense goes down, we'll drop down a pack of minions up the left-hand side. All of the air defenses in the area have been cleared, and those minions can work through all of those buildings over there slowly but surely. You do have to get a tiny bit lucky on that multi-mortar over there because it is in range and it is defended by some air defenses, so hopefully the minions group up and take that thing out, but you do have a spare Barbarian just in case it does not go down, so we'll just wait and wait and wait for those minions to work their way in. And once they work their way in, then we will drop down a P.E.K.K.A. after the multi-mortar goes down. Once again, you have the spare Barbarian just in case it does not. P.E.K.K.A. up the right-hand side after we drop down 2 packs of archers, give them a few seconds to work, and then that P.E.K.K.A. is going to distract that giant cannon. I actually misplayed the archers into the rocket shell, but it's not too big of a deal. Those archers are going to help DPS down the giant cannon and those Teslas up the right-hand side as the P.E.K.K.A. distracts all those big splash defenses and works her way in to try to take that thing out. We had a spare Barbarian just in case to finish off that last little trash building, but this run actually comes a little bit close on time. Hopefully that first Barbarian is able to clear both of the air bombs, and you don't actually have to send a Barbarian for that multi-mortar, but in this case, we actually have quite a bit of time still remaining. We had a lot of minions survive, and that helps speed things up. Now the P.E.K.K.A. is going to beat through the wall and finish off the last building, and those giants are going to stay up as they watch their base get one shot. This is the District Hall level 4 Barbarian camp, and we're going to do this at Capital Hall level 8. Start off a barb down south. The zaps, once again, kill the air defense, kill the spear thrower. You actually have 6 zaps that you don't need all of them. As long as you finish off those 2 defenses, you are good. A barrel on the left-hand spear thrower, a barrel up the middle spear thrower. Once again, when that middle spear thrower goes down and the Larrys converge to the cannon, we drop the pack of minions on the far right side to collapse in that spear thrower. Once the cannon goes down, we will drop down a barb up the far right to kill those air bombs once again, sort of similar to those other runs. And then a giant up the gut to beat through the wall, a hog glider once the giant is distracting all those defenses, and those hogs will sneak in and grab the spear throwers and grab the cannons while the giant is tanking and also beating through the walls. A minion down south once this final spear thrower goes down, and those minions are going to clear the trash buildings and work their way inside before the air defense is going to get in range of them. It does go down, and then those minions are going to clear a lot of buildings inside. And now we're just going to give those minions as much time as they need to get through all of that District Hall HP. Once the District Hall goes down, you can drop down a ram up the left-hand side and let those barbs inside die. Once those minions finish off the second barracks, you'll drop down 2 barrels up the left-hand side towards the giant cannon, then a ram to distract the giant cannon like that, a P.E.K.K.A. on top of the multi-mortar, and if you time things well, the giant cannon is not able to get a shot on your Larrys, neither is the multi-mortar. The P.E.K.K.A. is going to finish off those splash defenses, and then those Larrys are going to finish off those point defenses. And then if you give the minions enough time, they will also clear out all those ground defenses once again, and hopefully they are able to finish off the mortar. You should have some spare zaps just in case to reset the air defense if needed. But once the P.E.K.K.A. and the Larrys beat through those final defenses, get through the multi-cannon, and get through the spear thrower, you drop down another P.E.K.K.A. from the far right-hand side to tank the giant cannon and keep your Larrys alive. A pack of archers on the middle Tesla from the far right, another ram towards the rocket artillery to get those P.E.K.K.A.s inside, and all of your troops are now going to converge in towards that backside. Rocket artillery, take that thing out, and they'll finish off the last 2 spear throwers, which are the last major threats of them. But once again, time does come a little bit close on this run, so hopefully you had quite a few minions survive through the run, and they helped speed up that middle process of cleaning up all those trash buildings away from the air defenses. And finally, we have the maxed out Barbarian camp at CH10, and the timings here are kind of tight at the start. A barb down south to finish off those trash buildings, 4 zaps to finish off the air defense as well as a spear thrower, then a barrel towards the air defense, immediately drop down 2 rams towards that left spear throwers, open up the walls, and then the Sparky in behind will finish off that spear thrower, and those barbs will survive and go in after the rocket artillery and then pull that Tesla as well as a barb will clear those right side clan houses from that earlier ram, then a barrel up the middle to clear that spear thrower. Once again, a pack of minions up the far right, and then 2 barbs to finish off those left-hand trash buildings to force your Larrys deeper into the base. A hog rider on top of the spear thrower while all those defenses are distracted, and then I drop down a ram towards the right, towards the multi-mortar. Make sure that the ram does not splash on top of the multi-cannon. You want your Sparky to take 2 shots to finish off the multi-cannon to secure better pathing for her. But we have a barb going up the right-hand side of the base to kill those air bombs, and then once the Sparky starts approaching towards that multi-mortar, we drop down a ram to pull out that Tesla, so now that Sparky can 2-shot that thing as well. A minions up the middle after all those air defenses in the middle have gone down, and those minions need to be very quick because the timings get very tight towards the end. Once the Sparky is moving towards that giant cannon, we drop down a barrel towards the giant cannon from the far left angle to make sure it doesn't get splashed down by the giant cannon shells, and then those Larrys are going to distract for that Sparky to go in and chain down a bunch of those cannons. At this point, the Sparky is slowly working her way through, lands another huge blow against both of the multi-cannons, and you need your minions to finish off that middle multi-cannon as well as mortar inside that compartment. Otherwise, you will not have the deployment zone opened up for Sparky enough. So hopefully those minions have been fast enough to do the work, but Sparky locks on top of the rapid rockets. Now will finish that outside of range of any defenses, and then once she starts getting in range of those backside defenses, you'll drop down a giant from an angle to make sure the giant cannon doesn't splash on top of your Sparky, and then before that giant goes down, you drop down another giant to make sure the Sparky gets a continuous stream of tanking. Sparky does get low at this point, but she has enough HP, takes out the spear throwers as well as that rocket artillery, and you should have a couple of spare barbarians towards the end. I actually had to use one of my barbarians because I didn't get lucky on the right hand side, and those air bombs require 2 barbarians, but you should have 2 SWAT barbarians, and they can help you on the backside. I used my second one to try to tank the cannon for a little bit to try to keep Sparky alive, but time is not the biggest issue on this attack. Usually it comes down to not being able to tank for your Sparky on the backside, but in this case, we timed everything well enough to make this run work. Up next is the level 2 Wizard Valley at District Hall level 5, and this run is so goofy. 2 barbarians to go in after the raid cart wall, and then 12 barbarians. 4-finger drop them in behind 2 extra barbs at the left hand side to kill that spear thrower over there, and then those barbs will gang up on top of the raid cart and finish everything off. In case your 2 rams don't pull that giant bomb, you'll drop down another ram in behind and make sure that gets pulled and your barbs don't have to suffer and get blown up over there. Now they'll finish off that last wizard tower, and then they'll go in and we'll drop down a ram to lead them in towards those other wizard towers. They'll beat through all of those as well. With the help of the heal spell that we drop on the backside of the multi-cannon, they'll get topped up as they move through all of those splash defenses and move into the core of the base. This run is so goofy, and it works because barbarians are very over leveled at this level. At lower levels, your barbarian camp is almost always going to be your highest level district, and that means that the troops inside are going to be very over leveled, and so our level 3 barbarians are very strong against these lower level defenses. A jump spell up through the bottom entry, leading them into that spear thrower as well as cannon as well as wizard tower. A ram down south as my barbarians start converging, and so we can collapse that bottom section over there. As my barbs start working their way inside towards the wizard tower, we'll drop down 2 barrels on each of those spear throwers. The barrels themselves will take out the spear throwers, and those Larrys inside will gang up on that enemy raid car post, and my barbarians are also working their way in towards the left hand side of the base. So at this point, we can take our hands off the wheel a little bit. Those Larrys and those barbarians are now all going to group up and all going to try to beat through the wall and get through towards the last few defenses on the base. We drop down a ram over there towards the spell factory compartment to try to open up the wall and get those barbarians inside to start helping me out on cleanup. But we have a huge swarm of barbarians still left. We have a ram to lead our barbarians through to the last major compartment with defenses on the bottom side over there. An extra barbarian that I haven't deployed yet that we'll just use to help DPS some of those backside defenses. A ram to lead our barbs inside the base and finish off those final few defenses here. And at this point, we'll just fast forward as our wave of barbarians and Larrys finish off that compartment and those trash buildings on the far left hand side of the base. This is the CH level 7 District Hall level 3 Wizard Valley, and once again we're going to come in with some more Barbarian spam. We're going to drop down some Rams down south to tank those defenses for 16 Barbs in behind this time, and then an extra 2 Barbarians up the left-hand flank. Then we'll drop in some more Rams to make sure the wall towards the raid cars open up, as well as pull the Giant Bomb and make sure all my Barbarians are going to be safe. We drop that heal spell on the backside of that multi-cannon in between the Wizard Tower, just like that once again, and then once those Barbs start approaching those Wizard Towers, we'll drop down a ramp to open up the wall ahead and make sure those Barbarians are going to be safe as they enter the heal spell and beat through those defenses one at a time. But at this point, we're going to come in with a similar approach. We'll drop down the jump spell leading the Barbarians in towards that middle compartment as well as over towards that Wizard Tower. But everything is very similar here. At Capital Hall level 7, the Barbarians are once again very over leveled at level 4, and they have so many extra stats compared to the other troops like your level 2 Hog Riders. And then once those Barbarians start converging in towards that middle, we drop down a barrel in at the bottom to finish off the cannon and finish off the spear throwers down there. Then we'll drop down another barrel towards the top angle over there to make sure we grab that spear thrower as well as try to assist on the raid car. But the raid car actually goes over towards the Barbarians, which is not exactly optimal. But this time, we don't use the second barrel to make sure that Spirit Thrower stays alive, and it will be an anchor point for the rest of my troops to finish off the Spirit Thrower, and then they'll hook their way around in towards that Inferno Tower. So once the Spirit Thrower goes down, they'll go all the way around, and we will drop down a ram to tank the Inferno Dragons, 2 barrels in towards the Inferno Tower to try to take that thing out, 1 Barbarian towards the top side little trash hut to make sure all my troops get funneled in towards the bottom section if possible. But we actually don't have any spare Barbarians, and we don't have the ability to try to take that thing out because we need all our Barbarians for that Wizard Tower to try to take that thing out and make sure it doesn't splash onto all of my troops. And so we have those extra Barbs to try to make sure our Larrys can stay alive, at least some of them. Some of them also get blown up by a bomb, a ram from the far right angle to make sure we open up the wall and clear those trash buildings so we don't have to worry about time failing, and then a jump spell on the far left hand side to make sure that my Barbarians as well as Larrys avoid those bombs in the middle of the base, and they'll all converge. So much spam to go in for those last few defenses. Those Barbarians are providing the damage and the Larrys are providing the distraction, and we'll fast forward from here as we finish off District Hall level 3. Up next, we have District Hall level 4 Wizard Valley at CH8, and we're going to start off with 2 barrels down south. We should have actually dropped those barrels from a more right angle to make sure the barrels take a better approach towards the backside Teslas, and then we'll preemptively drop our heal spells towards all those defenses like so to make sure we don't have to worry about that later. Then 2 Rams to make sure we open the wall, as well as those Rams are going to pull the Giant Bomb in behind, and then all of our Hogs besides 2 of them to take out those opening compartments, a minions in behind to try to finish off that raid cart. And then the Hog Riders are going to finish off the Wizard Tower, and then they'll jump their way over towards the heal spell and get themselves topped back up as they move towards the middle compartment of the base. And at this point, the Larrys on the bottom side should have done their job and cleared out a ton of those trash buildings and opened up the map for deployment over there. And we'll drop down our last 2 Hog Riders on top of the Spear Thrower as my Hogs are approaching and collapse in those 2 defenses, and then a barrel once the map opens up towards that Spear Thrower over there, and that barrel is going to finish off that Spear Thrower and then help assist take out that raid cart in the middle over there. And now the Hog Riders are slowly working their way through. Those Larrys are going to gang up on that cannon cart as it decides to shoot at my Hogs. And then once the Hog Riders finish off the last Spear Thrower in that compartment, we'll drop down a Giant towards the far right Wizard Tower to tank the right side Giant Cannon, and then a Barbarian to tank that left side Giant Cannon and make sure my Hog Riders can get topped up as they finish off that whole compartment of the base. But at this point, you can take your hands off the wheel. Hopefully you have enough Hog Riders to where they can finish off the Inferno Towers up the left hand side of the base. They will get topped up by the heal spell fully, and they need to have enough juice in them to take that all out. There is a giant bomb in front of the wizard tower towards the right hand side of the screen. That's just off of the screen right now, but you have to make sure that you have enough hog riders, and hopefully the giant also survives to try to pull that giant bomb to try to finish off those last couple of defenses inside the base with those Larrys as well as those barbarians inside to try to clean up the rest of what is left. Yeah, at this point we'll just fast forward from here and we should have enough to finish off those last few buildings on this base. And finally, we have District Hall level 5 maxed out Wizard Valley. We drop the haste spell in the middle, a ram Sparky in behind on top of that cannon, and then this time we'll drop down our 2 barrels and correctly do them so that they're towards the right angle and going in towards the spear thrower, and then they'll finish off the cannon, finish off the air defense, and hopefully step outside of range of the Tesla as they beat through the wall. Once the Sparky gets its second shot on the wizard tower will go down, and then you'll drop down a barrel towards the left hand spear thrower, take that thing out as well, and that barrel will hopefully help you in taking out the enemy raid car post as your Sparky starts approaching. Hopefully the Sparky does not get locked onto by the raid cart, because that is how your run can go wrong, but she'll lock on top of the air defense and get a nice splash on top of that raid cart and assist your Larrys in taking that thing out. And now the Sparky is going to finish off the defenses one at a time. We drop a raise spell leading her into those giant cannons, a giant just as she's about to enter the rage spell. And that Sparky, that is a money shot, takes out both of the giant cannons just like that, turns towards the air defense and will take that out as well, along with the wizard tower. And then the Sparky will move her way down, 2 barrels to tank, a barb from the far left hand side to collapse those Larrys in towards all those defenses, and then the Sparky is going to finish that all off, including the wizard tower, and there's just the right hand side of the base left. Now, there is a little bit of adjustments that you have to do on Wizard Valley in case the raid carts start coming towards you and they start getting out in the open. You will use your barbs. You have a couple extra barbarians to try to assassinate those raid carts. It usually takes around 3 barbs to finish them off, or just 2 barbs in case there's Larrys helping you distract. But you have to make sure those raid carts don't log on top of your Sparky, because they do a lot of damage and you cannot afford to take too much damage on this front because the Sparky will get low. And now we'll drop a barrel in towards the Inferno Tower to make sure we distract that on the Sparky's approach, as well as get those barrels inside of the base and help provide some extra DPS and make sure Sparky doesn't take too long to get through that thing. But as the raid cart starts approaching, we use those extra barbarians to go in and take that thing out, and Sparky is going to move in towards those final backside defenses on the base, chain down the spear thrower off of the cannon, go in after the wizard tower. 2 shots will take out that whole compartment. Sparky is standing outside of range of that multi-cannon right now, and once she gets her second shot off, you will drop down your last giant towards the air defense on the bottom side to tank the spear throwers as well as distract the final raid cart post, and hopefully the raid cart will be distracted on top of your giant and will be stationary for the rest of the attack. We have a zap to finish off the last little trash shot on the base, but hopefully you don't get too unlucky on the cleanup process and you can get down Wizard Valley, even the max one down, in 1 attack. Next up, we have the level 1 Balloon Lagoon at CH level 4. We drop down 4 wizards just beneath the rock, then we'll drop our 2 rams just like that. Hopefully you can drop the top ram correctly so it wraps around the building and goes after the spear thrower like that. That's not important right now, but it will help you out immensely on the later runs. And then a giant up the left hand side, tank the spear thrower, a ram up the right hand side to tank the spear thrower as well as open up the wall ahead. As the wizards approach the bomb tower, you drop down your first barrel to get killed by the rapid rockets and provide a wave of Larrys as you move in towards the base. Then you'll drop down 2 more barrels to go in from a lower angle to try to tank all of those defenses over there. A heal spell between the cannon as well as that crusher to heal your troops as they move their way in, and then a ram like so down low to make sure all my Larrys get forced inside of the base. And then the heal spell is going to heal up my wizards as they approach those left side cannons. We actually get a nice split of troops, and our giant also helps with my wizards towards the left hand side of the base. But my wizards finish off the crusher, finish off the cannon, and will finish off the last few defenses in this little island peninsula. Then once they do, you'll drop down your barrel from the top angle on that corner like so, and then we'll drop down a ram once my wizards start attacking the wall, towards the wall, to make sure the bombs get pulled and my Larrys can go inside of the base. A jump spell, like I did, jumps the wizard over top so they can grab that bomb tower as fast as possible to keep the Larrys alive, and my wizards will then look at that district hall, take that thing out, and my troops will converge towards those spear thrower as well as cannon on the backside, and there'll just be one more Tesla, and we'll have one more barb to go to try to finish off that last little annoying defense inside of the base. But Balloon Lagoon is the run that I did last year, and I mapped out everything for you guys. Not too much has changed. This run is actually almost identical from the earlier ones, except now you have an extra jump spell. So I'll be doing a little bit of fine tuning on this run, as all of these balance changes have happened in the clan capital to give you an even better run for all of these levels. Up next is the District Hall level 2 Balloon Lagoon at CH level 6. This run is basically exactly the same actually, and we're going to drop down 4 wizards on the bottom side, 2 rams just like we did before. The right ram wraps around the little trash hut and goes in towards the spear thrower and connects with the wall. A giant towards the left hand side to tank for that spear thrower. A ram towards the right hand side as my barbs start dying out. And then we'll drop down our barrels as the wizards start approaching that bomb tower, get those barrels popped open and get those Larrys out. Then we'll just trickle in a couple more barrels to make sure all my troops are safe. The wizards are the main DPS, and then those barrels and the Larrys inside are going to help provide some distraction. A rage spell, like so, between those 2 cannons as well as that spear thrower. And then we'll drop down our ram this time. Pay attention to the wall that I target with the ram, and that way, if we drop it towards that wall, we should get a nice split on our Larrys, and hopefully we have some go inside and then some go in towards the left hand side and tank for the wizards as they finish up the cannons and the crusher. And we're just gonna hope that the wizards have enough in them. Hopefully all 3 of them survive, so they'll help you DPS the middle section of the base. I would say the level 6 Balloon Lagoon is probably the hardest one to do right now. It used to be the dragon runs were very inconsistent at higher levels because the dragon pathing was random, but they fixed dragon pathing, and so now the higher levels are actually a lot more consistent than the CH6 run. But the Barbarian is going to go in after the bomb tower after the wizards beat through the wall. A barrel from the top angle to distract the spear thrower as well as the cannon, and the wizards are going to chain off the cannon off of that district hall. And then once that all goes down, the map will open up and you will get ready a ram, a giant, and 2 rocket balloons. Hopefully you'll have 2 zaps that you didn't use from earlier. You can use the zaps wherever you want in case you needed them. A ram to distract the right hand rocket artillery, a giant to distract the left one, and 2 rocket balloons, one on either side of those point defenses. And they'll surge forward with the help of the rage and one-shot all of those defenses. You'll have 2 zaps to try to keep those balloons alive if possible. And those loons will get in towards that rocket artillery, take that thing out, and we have a spare Barbarian in the camps to tank that last Tesla in the map. You can use those zap spell to try to reset the Teslas if you want. I actually decided to hold my second zap and just let those balloons finish off that Tesla, but you have a spare zap or 2 to reset rocket artilleries and defenses and make sure this run can go a lot smoother. This is the Capital Hall level 7, District Hall level 3, Balloon Lagoon, and this run has gotten so much better than it was before. 3 wizards this time, so hopefully you can keep them all alive, because if you lose a single one of them, you'll lose a lot of DPS. Rams like I did before, but I messed up my right side ram and it didn't quite go where I wanted it to. Giant up the left hand side, another ram to open up the wall up ahead as the barbs start dying from the earlier rams. A barrel to go in as the wizards approach the bomb tower, and the barrels open up and generate a steady stream of distraction troops to make sure the wizards can stay alive. They did get splashed by the bomb tower, but at this point hopefully we can keep them at low HP and get them moving through all those defenses. We drop down the rage spell between all of those buildings up the left hand side of the base. We drop down the dragon immediately once the wizards clear those buildings and open up the map. And this is what I was talking about, the dragon. Now the dragon takes a straight line approach towards the nearest building instead of going all the way around the barn. So this run has become a lot more consistent than it was a year ago. I mess up on my ram as well and then I send it too low and all my Larrys go inside the base. I need to commit an extra Barbarian towards the left-hand side to tank that cannon and make sure my Wizards can take that out before they all die out. You need to keep your Wizards alive for this run. And so they're going to finish off that little trash hut and beat their way through the wall. Once the dragon finishes off the Crusher, we drop down a barrel in towards the Tesla, a barb as the Wizards beat through the wall to finish off that bomb tower as well. And those Larrys from the left-hand side will also help out in distracting the cannon as well as the spear thrower and make sure the Wizards can stay alive. And now we're going to turn our sights towards the left-hand side of the base. 2 barrels, 1 on each Inferno Tower, a ram in behind to tank the Inferno Towers as well. And we have an extra ram to go in to provide some more distraction, generate some more Barbarians to help those Larrys get through those Inferno Towers and get through those last few defenses on the base. You can actually also wait for your Larrys down low to get a little bit closer, but I'm not patient and I drop the rest of my troops down and they will finish off the last few buildings on this base. This is the level 4 Balloon Lagoon at CH8, and this run has changed a little bit. We're going to drop a graveyard spell between those 2 cannons, and then we drop down our 3 wizards as well as 2 rams, just like we've been doing on the lower levels, and they're going to finish off all those buildings on the approach, pull those 2 log traps as well, giant up the left-hand side of the base towards that spear thrower, and this time we drop down a barb up the right-hand side to finish off that spear thrower as well, zap that one little hut to set up for the dragon as well, and that rage spell to make sure it can speed through all those defenses over there. We drop down the ram as my troops start dying out, as well as a barrel as the bomb tower starts going down. And at this point, once the map opens up, we will drop down our dragon immediately towards that little trash hut, another barrel to provide some more Larrys to help distract, and then we drop down a ram towards that right side little clan house, a barb to finish off that clan house, and then that will generate me some more armored Larrys to help distract for the Wizards as they make their approach towards those middle defenses. A ram down low to force all of those Larrys inside, and we should get a couple of armored Larrys to help support the Wizards as they try to finish off those cannons, and those Larrys up the right hand side should beat through all those defenses over there. The dragon has done a great job at clearing all those defenses in the middle. We drop 2 barrels towards that rock artillery this time. It'll finish that off, and then we'll drop down another barrel towards the Tesla as the Wizards start working their way towards that barracks. But we'll have 2 rams to try to tank those Inferno Towers on the approach, as well as an extra Barbarian just in case we need that. But we'll use the rams to tank for the Larrys, and then we'll use the second ram to open up the wall ahead, a barrel to finish off that Tesla, a barb this time. Because we don't really need it for those low level Inferno Towers, we'll use it to finish off that bomb tower and keep those Wizards alive as they finish off those last few buildings in the middle section of the base. The Larrys are cruising their way through the top section as they finish off those last few defenses, and it's just a matter of cleanup at this point, and we will speed things up. And last but not least, the District Hall level 5 maxed out Balloon Lagoon at CH10. We're going to come in with the same entry, but this time you have to be a little bit more precise about your rams at the very start to make sure that they don't get killed before they reach their walls in case the defenses are in fact max. We drop down a barb towards the spear thrower, a graveyard in behind to generate Larrys as my troops start dying, a ram to go in to open up the wall in behind, some barrels as the bomb towers start going down to generate a stream of Larrys to make sure that my Wizards are very well protected. As the map starts opening up for deployment, we have a zap on the backside little clan hut, and then our dragon to surge forward inside of the rage spell to grab all those buildings over there. Now, as the spear thrower and Tesla goes down, we drop down a miner towards the cannon, and the giant will tank the spear thrower as well as the cannon, and then tank a giant bomb as well. So the miner sneaks in towards the rocket artillery, and then we use a ram and 3 barrels in towards the rocket artillery compartment towards the left hand side of the base once we can do that, and then the miner will finish up the air bombs on the right hand side of the base. And now you're going to see the power of the miner and why we have included it in the run. It makes the run a lot more consistent. We drop some rams to open up the wall as well as tank the Inferno Towers for the Larrys, but the key to that miner is once it finishes off the air bombs, in case your Wizards have died out in the middle, it will go over the Lagoon, take out all the defenses that the Wizard missed, and it will also finish off the bomb tower to make sure your barrel up the left hand side on top of that Tesla can finish off that spear thrower as well as the cannon. We have a spare Barbarian at this point, and we'll use it on the top section as my Larrys start getting petered out, but you can really use that Barbarian anywhere you see fit. and we're going to just make sure that we have enough to finish off those last 2 spear throwers on this base, which are the last 2 things standing between me and a one-shot on a max Balloon Lagoon. This is the level 1 Builder's Workshop at CH5, and this run is so difficult and stupid to do with high RNG that I basically don't recommend anyone to learn it. But we'll see how we get it done. We drop down a Ram as well as a Barbarian up the gut to open up the map, as well as kill that Spear Thrower. Every deployment here is super precise, by the way, and so don't take anything for granted here. This run is very difficult to pull off. 2 barrels on the top angle, a giant to tank the giant cannon as well as mortar, and behind 2 barrels on top of the wizard tower as well to make sure the barrels can blast that open before it splashes on top of my Larrys. A jump spell leading in towards the Tesla and makes sure that the giant cannon does not kill too many Larrys. And you need as many Larrys to survive as humanly possible. If any of them get taken out by the giant cannon, you're probably screwed, because every one of them counts as they move in towards the middle of the base. And so the Larrys will finish off the Spear Thrower, and once they approach that little opening in the wall, you will drop down a Ram a little bit angled towards the right-hand side of that multi-cannon. It opens up the wall and pulls out the log trap, and then 2 barbs in behind to take out that multi-cannon, and then the 2 zaps will reset that multi-cannon as well as DPS that thing down. Hopefully, you don't have to spend the 3rd zap to try to get down that wizard tower, but if you need to use it, then use it, because ideally you have that zap to chip down the spear thrower, because it's going to get a little bit close now. The Barbarian as well as Ram in behind to finish off the spear thrower as after the Larrys finish off the air bombs on the right hand side, and you need that Barbarian to survive and pull that zap trap, which it did, luckily for me. And now 2 more bars to finish off the air defense and pull out another log trap, a giant to tank that giant cannon, and then 3 barbs on top of the cannon to finish that off, as well as the giant cannon in behind. Once they finish off the giant cannon, you drop down in pack of archers towards the multi-mortar to help DPS that down. But at this point, you can take your hands off the wheel and just hope and pray this run gets close on time, because all of those Larrys in the middle section are going to get taken out by the Crusher, and all you will have left are archers to try to finish off the last few buildings on this base. And if you get unlucky, actually there's a couple of bombs down here that will blow up a couple of your archers, but hopefully you don't get too unlucky over here and you have more than 3 archers to go, and we'll fast forward from here as they snipe those last few buildings. This run comes very close to time failing, even when you pull all of it off and get very lucky. This is the CH7 District Hall Level 2 Builder's Workshop. This run is also not very practical because you have Builder's Workshop Level 3 at this level, but it's not possible here with what we have. But we're going to make this one work at least, and we send a Dragon down low to splash down those first few defenses, as well as multi-cannon, a barrel from the right angle to tank the air bombs, and then another barrel to go in to tank that air defense and make sure we preserve the health of that Dragon as much as possible. We'll use the 4 zaps on top of that middle rapid rocket like so, and then we'll use a ramp to open up the wall towards the spear thrower and open up the map for deployment, and tank for that Dragon to make sure it can stay topped up. Another ram on top of that zap trap in the middle, and those barbs inside will clear those 2 little trash huts, and hopefully that Dragon can finish off the wizard tower. This run is a lot harder if that does not go down, and then we'll drop down 3 barrels in towards that cannon over there, a giant to tank as the multi-mortar and that giant cannon get distracted. And then once the giant cannon gets its 2nd shot, we wait about a split second, then drop down that jump spell leading towards that Tesla, and make sure that giant cannon never faces towards my Larrys, gets taken down before it ever gets a shot on them. We drop the ram where we did to make sure if there's a bomb there, it does get pulled so the Larrys don't have to suffer through that. And then we drop down the 3 packs of minions down low to try to sweep through and take out that air defense and take down those crushers down low. At this point, we'll use those last 2 barrels and those last 2 rams to try to take out that blast bow, but hopefully you're fast enough on the minions and they'll make it through that compartment, and the blast bow will not kill the rest of your Larrys inside those barrels. But actually, I do not have level 3 barrels, which are available to you at CH7, so hopefully if you have that, that will make your life easier. The extra Larrys from each of those barrels make a huge difference when it comes to swarming and overwhelming the backside of the base. We'll drop down the last ramp to open up the wall towards the blast bow, as well as tank the blast bow to make sure it doesn't focus down any of my Larrys over there. And just make sure that all my Larrys converge towards those last few defenses and are able to overwhelm all those point defenses over there. This is a very satisfying moment to watch in the Builder's Workshop barrel one-shots when there's just a ton of Larrys ganging up on a ton of point defenses. The Larrys versus the world, and the Larrys will prevail. This is the level 3 Builder's Workshop at Capital Hall level 8, and we're going to come in with the barrel one-shot once again. The barrel one-shot is so good at higher levels, so it's good to learn that early now while you can. And we'll drop down the dragon down low, and then as it approaches the multi-cannon, we'll drop down a barrel in to distract those right side air defenses, and then as that first barrel goes down, we'll drop down another barrel in the middle to tank the air defenses and try to keep the dragon HP up. We mess up a little bit and the dragon takes more damage than I was hoping for, but we'll keep business going as usual, and we'll use a ram to tank the spear thrower and wizard tower and make sure that our dragon has just enough HP to finish off that enemy wizard tower. Once the map expands, we'll drop down another ram to pull the zap trap, and those barbs inside will clear all those buildings on the top angle. Graveyard spells on the bottom corner of that air defense down low, and now once the map expands, we drop one barrel and then two barrels closer towards the wall, a giant in behind to tank the giant cannon as well as the multi-mortar. Once the giant cannon gets its second shot off, we will drop down our jump spell leading in towards the Tesla and make sure the giant cannon does not get aligned towards my Larrys as it shoots its shells. And so the Larrys will maul down that giant cannon, and then we will drop down two barrels towards that top giant cannon, a ram up the right hand side, a ram down low as well to pull that bomb, as well as the log trap at 12 o'clock. Then we'll drop down a pack of archers as the Larrys finish off that cannon down low, and then those archers will finish off the crusher and open up the map towards the bottom side of the base. Hopefully those archers can finish things off quickly, because we need to kill that blast bow as quickly as possible. So it takes out that rapid rocket, and immediately we're going to drop down a ram to make sure the blast bow gets tanked for, and then we can drop down a barrel after the zap trap gets pulled to go in after the blast bow and try to take that thing out. We have a Barbarian to tank for the blast bow and make sure it doesn't shoot at my Larrys that are approaching from the right hand side of the base, as well as a zap to help support as well wherever we decide we need it. I actually thought there might be a log trap on the backside. I did notice that there's a log trap ruin, so I kind of screwed up and swagged a barb there, but you don't really need the extra two barbs as well as those lightning spells, so you can use them wherever you see fit. And once again, we have a swarm of Larrys converging towards the last few defenses on the space. This is the level 4 Builder's Workshop at Capital Hall level 9. This is once again the barrel one-shot, but it's a little bit more complicated than usual. Everything at the very start is the same. A barrel towards the right hand air bombs to make sure that the dragon is well distracted for, and then another barrel in the middle as the first one starts going down. Make sure we keep the dragon alive, moving towards the right hand side of the base. This base is actually very under-leveled, and so the air defenses sort of tickle that dragon, but this will work against higher level air defenses as well. And then we'll drop down a ram once again towards that spear thrower, open up the wall, and as the map expands, we'll drop down a ram, tank the zap trap, and those barbs inside will kill those trash buildings. Then we'll drop a graveyard spell down low, and then two graveyard spells on top of that spear thrower over there. As the dragon starts dying, we'll drop down a barrel towards the left hand side, and then two more barrels closer towards the wall, a minion down low to clear all those air defenses over there. And then once the giant gets its second shell, we will drop down two rams leading in towards that Tesla. We don't have a jump spell this time, and that's why this run is a little bit more different from the other ones, as well as another ram leading in towards that multi-cannon. So we'll use the rams in place of the giants in a pack of archers as the minions start finishing off that cannon down low. Then a ram to tank that bomb, two barrels in the middle, and then one ram up the right hand side exactly where I dropped it to tank all the defenses, and that ram down low will also pull all those traps, especially that log trap, so your Larrys are all safe. A barb in behind will also force Larrys into that compartment. As the archers start finishing off those last few defenses down low, you'll drop down a ram towards the blast bow to tank the blast bow as well as the zap trap, and then you'll drop down a barrel in towards the blast bow to make sure that the blast bow goes down, and hopefully you get lucky and you have a couple archers to help distract that blast bow on the backside, but you also have a ram to tank the log trap and provide a tiny bit more distraction so your Larrys don't get focused down. But once again, we have a huge swarm of Larrys and a couple of Barbarians and Giants trailing in behind, and that is way more than enough to finish off those last 4 or 5 poor point defenses. And finally, we have the maxed out Builder's Workshop at CH10 with the barrel run that Luca and I helped develop. We're going to drop down a dragon down low, finish off the air defense, finish off the spear thrower, then we'll drop down a barrel towards the right hand side, tank the air bombs and all those air defenses as the dragon starts flying in, another barrel to continue distracting all the air defenses and keep that dragon healthy. You actually don't want to split your barrels at all if all the air defenses and defenses there are lower level. You want to send all your barrels left towards the wizard tower in that case, if the defenses are sort of level 2 or level 3 or so. And now the dragon is flying over towards the right hand side of the base. We'll drop down a ram towards the wall, open up the wall ahead as well as the map expands. Then we'll drop down a ram to test for the zap trap and clear those buildings with those barbs inside. A graveyard spell on the bottom corner of the bottom air defense, and then a graveyard spell on the top corner of that blast bow. Hopefully the dragon finishes off the wizard tower, but in case the wizard tower does not go down, I will tell you what to do. 3 barrels in towards the cannon, a giant in behind to tank the multi-mortar as well as the giant cannon. If that wizard tower did not go down, you'll drop down your barrel for the wizard tower in before your jump spell after the second giant cannon shell, and then those Larrys are going to be safe as they punch through all those defenses as well as punch through that giant cannon. A minions down low to finish off all those defenses there, and then 2 packs of archers this time towards that bottom section to finish off that compartment as quickly as possible. Ram to tank that bomb, barrels to tank all those defenses as well as go in after the giant cannon, and then a ram from the far right to open up the wall as well as tank that giant cannon. When those final defenses down south go down, you'll drop down the ram as quickly as you can to tank the zap trap as well as the blast bow, and then you'll drop down your last 2 barrels. If you haven't spent one of the barrels already, you only need 1 barrel, but I had a spare barrel over here to go in towards this side, but the extra barrel can go anywhere where you screw up and all your Larrys get killed. And then we'll have 1 more Barbarian to test for the last log trap. Once the air Larrys from the top section finish off the giant cannon and finish off that little last trash hut, we'll drop down the barb to tank that log trap, and so the rest of my Larrys will be safe. But once again, just like before, it all works the same. You just have so many Larrys on the barrel one-shot run. This run is so goofy and so much fun to do. It's also very consistent. I am 100% hit rate with this run in the raid weekends at all levels, and I think I'm like 30 out of 30. That is basically unheard of for any one-shot run. This run is so consistent, and the Builder's Workshop default is quite common, so learning this is an absolute must. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and that it will help you get one-shots in the clan capital. This video is especially useful for lower capital hall levels where default layouts are everywhere. They're so common, and so this will definitely help you guys out because I know I usually don't cover content at lower levels and I focus on CH10, but I will also have the part 2 out as soon as I can. I know the Goblin Mines as well as the Golem Quarry, those default one-shots are some of the most important and common ones to run up against, so I'll get that out to you guys as soon as I can. I'm exhausted even after this first part, but like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and take care.